Good morning and welcome back into JumpStart Sports. We've been away for a little while, Jay, maybe a couple weeks, but we're back. Uh, hope nobody forgot about us. Everything's going well on my end, Jay. How about you? Is it Christmas again? Christmas come early this year?
Yeah, I just figured I'd do it for my Christians and Catholics out there. I mean, we're both Jewish, so that really doesn't matter for us, but
Yeah, it
someone out there will
makes
appreciate it.
complete sense with Passover on Friday.
Exactly. I just wanted to make sure we have both holidays in there.
We don't
Um,
discriminate on
we
JumpStart
don't.
Sports.
That's right. We love everybody.
That's right.
No, I'm good, dude. I mean, can you see my Florida tan? Because I can't.
I can never tell when you're in Florida, when you're in New York, so I just kind of feel like you're tan all the time.
I'll take it. I'll take it because I don't look tan even a little bit. And I was outside hoping I would burn, and then I didn't.
Are you like me where you don't use sunscreen and hoping to get tan and you just get ridiculously burned because of our pasty skin?
Yeah. I actually had a burn that was like in between my hip and like my lower leg, really central spot. And
Whoa.
it was red for like months. I don't know why. Maybe it was actually worse than a burn. Maybe I have a disease.
Probably. We
We
all
don't
do.
discriminate against that either. All right. Jumpstart Sports appreciates all diseases.
Alrighty then. Well,
All right.
on that note, glad to hear you're doing well. Have a lot to talk about with the draft coming up and the playing game starting tonight. We can talk about the playoff picture, but just to we wanted to start off at the top of the hour, just kind of recognizing there's a lot that goes into it, but the most important thing is just recognizing what happened to Dwayne Haskins and the tragic passing that happened with him. May he rest in peace. And it just goes to show how anything could really happen at any moment. People aren't expecting things to happen, which is one of the scarier things, in my opinion, of just living is the fact, look at Kobe, for example. People obviously recognize him more than Dwayne Haskins, but doesn't mean that what happened to Dwayne Haskins wasn't tragic, doesn't mean he shouldn't be honored for the accomplishments that he got. Yeah, we can get into the whole Schefter thing in a little bit, kind of belittling what happened in a way, but just for a player to get to the league is very impressive in itself, even if they only make it as a third string quarterback.
Mm.
So I think that we need to just kind of start off by recognizing the accomplishments that Haskins did and who he was as a person, which is something big you wanted to touch on, focusing on the person himself rather than focusing on, you know, the superstar and the platform that he had. I don't know if I'd call him a superstar, but that's besides the point. He's still a great player. Just getting to the league is an accomplishment in itself. And 24 years old, man, it's just way too young for tragic things to be happening to someone who had a long career ahead of him.
Yeah. Yeah, I've read and listened to a lot about it. It's just so sad, man. I mean, so Dwayne Haskins was killed walking across a highway in South Florida. And he was struck by a dump truck. Um, yeah, I think that it's lost upon us because, and we'll get into the Schefter thing in a second, but I think it's lost upon us because people are, like these athletes are so high profile. Even maybe for some, Dwayne Haskins was a first round pick in the NFL draft, number 15 of the at the time the Redskins. He's such a high profile athlete, and obviously one of the best in the world, right? So a lot of the time we look at these people like where there's athletes, and I think that's so wrong. And that's kind of something that we'll touch with Schefter. He's a person, like he's a brother. He has a sister. He has a wife, a kid. He has a family, and he's just taken off this earth too young. It's so sad. It's so horrible. And he was beloved by many of the Steelers and the Redskins at the time, the Washington football. Oh, actually, the Commanders now. But his teammates loved him. There was a lot of support from the NFL. I thought was really interesting, and we can kind of get into it a little bit. with the Schefter stuff. So basically, Adam Schefter tweeted I would say it was a pretty insensitive tweet. Basically reporting he reported first, and maybe you can speak on the journalism aspect of this. But he tweeted first, which is probably a big thing for these insiders, that Dwayne Haskins had passed away. However, when he was talking about it, it sounded like he was a robot, and he basically said, Dwayne Haskins has passed away, or was killed by the truck, or actually, I don't think the truck was on at the time. And then he said he was Dwayne Haskins, who was a standout at Ohio State. He was struggling to get onto the field or whatever. It's like, how could you talk about how, he could be the worst quarterback in the world. How could you talk about that when he was just taken off this earth? Like, it's such a disservice to his family. And it actually kind of blows my mind that it took Adam Schefter until Monday, and this happened, Saturday morning, to apologize.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I guess he needed to gather his words, but someone like Ian Rappaport, I watched him talk about it on the Pat McAfee show. And it's really interesting to hear his process of he doesn't want to be the one to break something like this. Like, he was waiting for the Steelers to say something first, and then he'll speak on what they say, which I think is the respectful thing to do. Because I feel like it is kind of a blurred line of how do you go about something that's so tragic and horrible, and also report it because you are a journalist. I don't know. Do you have any takes on that? Coming from someone who has taken classes with journalism?
Yeah, I mean, I got my master's degree at Syracuse last year, and that was just kind of the heart of what's that journalism is, just being accurate with your work, being honest, and the second you lose credibility, you're kind of done. It's kind of hard to find your way back from that. The pedestal that people like Adam Schefter are on and Adrian Wojnarowski are on, those are the two main guys when it comes to football and basketball. I think of Jeff Passan in the MLB. Those are the main guys that you look to for information. And it's interesting to think about when it comes to quickness, because they're obviously the first ones who know when something happens, because Dwayne Haskins' agent informed Schefter.
Right.
So he's the first one that wants to get the news out. So there is, I'm not saying this is an excuse at all, but there is the aspect of him trying to be quick and get his work out, so he's the first one out there. I kind of think about it in a way whenever something happens in our group chat, I'm always the first one who wants to get something out, and then you usually beat me to it, or Sam will, and I just think about making mistakes, whether it's spelling or just something you say is inaccurate. There have been so many times where there's something that comes out on Twitter and it didn't actually happen. It's just a rumor. Something will happen, and then I'll say, oh, this person got traded. I thought Baker went to the Colts, and it just never happened. So the second you put out false information, you lose a credibility. And then with this, for example, something that is such a sensitive subject as a tragedy, you have to kind of just get right to the point. They didn't really know, I think, at the time exactly how he passed, but in Schefter's case, I think you need to just, state the facts, give his, you want to give a lot of information without giving a lot of information, if that makes sense. You want to just kind of give the basic facts, but at the same time, you don't want to overload your tweet or your comment with information that isn't really necessary to what happened, especially something as sensitive as this was. Schefter didn't need to, make those comments that he made. And I feel in a way, he's kind of already been on thin ice the past, year or so, just with
I
the
feel like
Brady
this
thing
isn't the
and stuff
first
like
time.
that.
I'm trying to find the exact tweet. I feel like this isn't the first time that something like this has happened.
Yeah. And it just, like I said, it goes back to, accountability, credibility. A lot of people probably unfollowed him, to be completely honest. I know a lot of people aren't happy with him and some of the comments he makes, and that's I Honestly, yeah, I don't know if I'll make it, big time in reporting, but that's one of the things that definitely worries me when it comes to being a big time reporter is when you have that stage and that pedestal you put yourself on,
Yep.
you have like, you know, such a target on your back because everyone's looking to you. You have to be flawless, you have to be perfect, and no one's perfect, and you need to, realize that and maybe cut Schefter some slack. And even Wojnarowski, he ran into that problem last year where he got into some trouble. And even when situations like that arise, you kind of shake your head and in disappointment, but people are human at the end of the day, and you want to cut them some slack. But that's the scary thing about being in this industry is you make one wrong comment, you make one mistake, and
You're
people can
canceled.
hold it
Or you're
against
done.
people can hold it against you
Mhm.
forever.
Yeah, specifically what Dwayne Haskins said is, or sorry, excuse me, Adam Schefter said. He said Dwayne Haskins, a standout at Ohio State before struggling to catch on with Washington and Pittsburgh in the NFL, died this morning when he got hit by a car in South Florida, per his agent Cedric Saunders. Haskins would have turned 25 on May 3rd. So I don't know if you saw the thing with Des Bryant. Des Bryant made a video about this as well, basically saying that we're not like we're people first. And he said this is something that I hated about the NFL, where it's just interesting. Like there was really no reason for him to say struggling to catch on with Washington and Pittsburgh, especially like it's just like it was a sudden tragic death. Like it's just crazy to me. And I listened to Adam Schefter's apology, and I guess there's no real way you can come back from that strong. I mean, because I don't know, like there was nothing more he could have done in his defense, but I just felt like it was a half-assed apology, and I felt like he got his apology out, and then he's like, I'm so sorry for saying something really insensitive, and then he went right into how Dwayne Haskins should be remembered, but like he should have done that to start with. So it's just like it's a really hard line to like understand where he's coming from. Like you said, people make mistakes, and also recognize that like he should be held accountable because that's just not okay, and it's a disservice to Dwayne Haskins' family. Um, I can only imagine what they're going through right now, and yeah, it's just sad. It's just really sad.
It's
I
not like
always think so. Again,
let's say it's not what he said was like inappropriate, but it wasn't the right time for it because like what he said wasn't wrong, but in that type of situation when
yeah, you
you're
don't say that right
putting
after.
out the first one, yeah, first one to put out a big tweet about someone's passing, you just don't put anything negative into it because it's already negative enough as it is. But it's not enough to get him fired. But like I said earlier, the more times he does stuff like this, the more viewers he's going to lose.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you something. You might not have a specific thing, but like, how do you remember Dwayne Haskins? Like, maybe it's like maybe it is as a player, but like, we obviously don't know him personally. So like, what do you remember about him?
I was just kind of whenever I followed him, I just thought that he was someone who never gave up and he was working so hard just to get a job in this league. He
Mhm.
was he was very good at Ohio State, and then he comes to the draft, and I don't think people were very high on him, but he was still a top quarterback prospect, and then he goes to Washington. From what I remember, when the times he plays the Eagles, he actually played pretty well. Um, some people maybe just that transition from college to the NFL is a big jump, and some people just aren't ready for it. And then he goes to Pittsburgh, and they lose Big Ben. He was going to be in Big Ben's shadow the whole time. But then they bring in Trubisky. They have Mason Rudolph. Who knows if he was going to get an opportunity? But you know
Yeah.
that's the sad part about it is like you can't knock the hustle, and he was just fighting to earn his position. And I'm sure he has a lot of talent. I'm sure at some point in his career he was going to find a way to get a starting position, even if that was being a backup in Jacksonville to Trevor Lawrence or something, and Trevor Lawrence gets hurt, and that's how he gets his opportunity. Who knows? But we're never gonna know. We're never gonna find out. But
Yeah.
he was someone who I did respect when it came to that, because you work so hard, you put in so many hours in college to get to the NFL, to raise a family, to take care of your family. To, one of my old teammates is in the NBA, and I just respect him for, coming from a family that maybe necessarily didn't have a whole lot of money, and being able to use your platform and use your job to change their lives completely. And I respect that so much, how much hard work you have to put in to be able to do something like that. And he was just working so hard to just make a name for himself. And kind of like Schefter said, even though it was inappropriate, there was some truth to it. He was struggling to make a name for himself and establish a starting position on a team, which isn't always, easy to do. So I had a lot of respect for him when it came to that.
Yeah. I always remember him from that video that surfaced when he was drafted, when he was I don't know, he must have been 8 years old, visiting Ohio State, wearing a number 7, and he's like, I'm gonna play here. So I always think of that, and I always think of, like you said, he was. That's the thing that is also so terrible. Is I feel like we as an audience were robbed of I think he really would have had a chance to compete with Trubisky this year. He from everything that I have listened to and read, when he was in Ohio State, the game that he broke out was against Michigan, and the game that he broke out was because JT Barrett actually got hurt. Once JT Barrett got hurt, he came in and he led them, I think, to a victory over Michigan, which was was super unprecedented for someone who's, he was definitely a highly touted prospect, but I feel like JT Barrett was the guy at that point.
Mm-hmm.
The next year he throws 50 touchdowns, right? Comes to the NFL, 15th pick overall. And yeah, I think that it took him a minute to adjust to the NFL game, but he also forced Joe Burrow to transfer because he was playing so well at Ohio State. So you have to understand, there is talent there, and I think that there would have been a really good opportunity that he was getting, his feet under him again, and he was ready to push for the starting job again. And it's just so sad and really untimely and horrible. And yeah, we talked about it a little bit, but it's just the fragility of life. It's so goddamn scary, man. It is so goddamn scary to think that at a moment's notice, anything could just end. It's I personally it terrifies me. I think everyone is scared of death, but it's so horrible. Yeah. So Dwayne Haskins, gone too soon. But we just want to take the time and remember him for the person that he was. Obviously, we didn't know him, but his smile lit up a room, supposedly. And you still, the way he should have been remembered is the accolades that he did accomplish for at Ohio State in the NFL. Gone but not forgotten.
Yeah, 100%. May he rest in peace. It's very sad, but unfortunately, with these things, you have to move forward. Life goes on. Time does heal all. And yeah, that's really all there is to it, to be honest. It's very sad, but you have to just take it one day at a time and keep on keeping on.
All right, so let's move on to the next topic. I don't know if you saw this. I added this in late because I just couldn't. This happened last night. Cam Newton went on a podcast, and he is gonna. This is definitely gonna be one of those situations that he's gonna need to apologize because he's gonna get canceled otherwise. I know it's inevitable for him to apologize for this. But basically, Cam Newton specifically complained about women who, quote, can't cook and, quote, don't know when to be quiet. He also said, now a woman for me is handling your own, but knowing how to cater a man's needs. That is not going to take well. I've already seen a lot about it on Twitter. What are your thoughts about that?
I mean, it's just like kind of going off the Schefter thing. Just shows when you have that platform, anything you say will get held against you. And just in his situation as it is, he does not need to be in this league anymore. He showed this past year he doesn't have it anymore. I don't know if this is his way out, but like it's just unacceptable, especially in this day and age, to make comments like that. And I'm pretty sure he has like 6 or 7 kids. So it's just like what kind of father is that to like what kind of person are you trying to be when you make comments like that? Like that's how you want your kids to like look up to you when you make inappropriate, immature comments like that. It's just do better, shake my head. Jay, I think you're muted. There you
Hear me
go.
now?
Yep.
Okay. Well, that's embarrassing.
A little bit.
But I was just saying, it's not like the 1940s or 60s or whenever when that was actually okay to say. Like, I don't want to like we're kind of woke as like a society, but like that is come on, like you don't fight for equality and like I feel like we as a society have made strides for like equality's sake. Just to say something like that from a really high profile athlete, like come on, Cam, Yeah, like what you said, like just do better. Why would you feel the need to say that on a podcast? I guess you're right. Like he's just kind of spent, and he's just like that. Maybe that's a ticket out because there's no. I mean, there's definitely a coming back from this because the NFL is an awful, awful place. But I mean, he's gonna have to apologize. There's no way around it.
Yeah, you have to apologize. I don't even know what went through his head. Like I don't know what the topic of conversation was for him to even make a comment like that, but like you said, we're not in the past anymore. Even back then it was unacceptable, but just an immature, inappropriate comment to be made. Not even true. I don't know what he was trying to get out of it.
I don't either.
Like, he was trying to get another starting job, but sure didn't get the job done.
No, he did not. Yeah, I don't know. I thought that was insane. What a weird comment. But
Yeah.
All right. So this is more so like just a little I just want to dive a little bit into this into like Jordan Reed came out with a 7-round mock draft that came from ESPN. Peter Schrager came out with one as well. Peter Schrager was kind of interesting because he's super dialed in. So I really pay attention to what he says. And when you guys tune in next week, JumpStart Sports may have a little mocky of our own. So stay tuned. Sure. But so the first of all, the common theme between a lot of mock drafts for the NFL, which is going to be in about 15 days. It's 2 weeks from Thursday.
The 28th,
yeah, the 28th. So the first thing that's kind of interesting is Aiden Hutchinson, who's the edge rusher out of Michigan, kind of seems like the obvious pick at number 1, but this really is intriguing to me. Like Trayvon Walker, who is a edge rusher out of Georgia, could be the number 1 pick, and I've read in a couple of different places, like from Matt Lombardo, that because of his ridiculous intangibles, because he's like ridiculously fast and huge, and he might go number 1. But I guess this is the kind of like interesting debate because Odafe Owe, who is the edge rusher who went to the Baltimore Ravens last year. He had 0 college sacks, and then he came into the NFL at Penn State, and then he came into the NFL and he lit it on fire. He was so good. So it's I feel like that's so interesting that like some systems just don't cater well. In the Georgia defense, I feel like it was just so dominant all across the board that there wasn't room for someone to be like a 10 sack guy.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any thoughts about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting when the Jaguars come to pick, but I just feel like I've said this to you before. I just think Hutchinson is the primary guy to go with. He was just so good at Michigan. He was so dominant, and but at the same time, the Jaguars need some offensive line help.
Mm.
I know your Giants were looking at Evan Neal, but
Oh yeah,
it's definitely going to be an interesting first pick because we've mentioned this before. I just feel like it's not very clear and concise who the first overall pick is going to be.
mm-hmm. I think the first 5 are like this is probably the most unclear it's been in years. Even last year, I mean, the only thing that people weren't sure of was number 3 if it was going to be Mac Jones or Trey Lance. That was the
Mm-hmm.
only one that people were like, I don't know. It was supposed to be Mac Jones, and then it became Trey Lance or whatever. But everyone knew for whatever reason, Zach Wilson was like a foregone conclusion at 2, which I still will never understand.
Mm-hmm.
But 1 and 2 were always like set in stone. And I feel like that's the case most years that usually 1 and 2, it doesn't really benefit the Jaguars necessarily to keep it hush hush because like who cares? No one's trading for that pick.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter. So I don't know. And then I think it's kind of interesting because you have like these really polarizing prospects like Malik Willis who like didn't succeed at Auburn, couldn't beat out what's his name, Bo Scarborough.
Yeah.
And then
He was a running back, wasn't he?
Who did
Bo Scarborough was a running back.
You're right.
Alabama.
He is Bo something. Bo something. Auburn. Bo Nix. He couldn't beat out Bo Nix. You're totally right. Bo Scarborough is a running back. And I think he's in the NFL already. So Bo Nix, he couldn't beat out at Auburn, who's kind of garbage anyway. And then he transferred to Liberty and lit it up. He has the most insane intangibles.
No pun intended.
What?
Because of the Liberty Flames.
Yeah.
Never mind. On to the next one.
On to the next. So some people think that he could go to Detroit number 2. Some people think it's too early. And then you have guys like the Steelers and the Panthers who are probably the worst kept secrets in the NFL of people who are going to take a quarterback. And I feel like the Steelers are the most obvious because last year everyone knew that they were going for a running back. Everyone knew it was going to be Najee Harris, and sure enough, it was. So yep. I don't know. I think this draft will be super interesting. You have like the Jets who are sniffing around for a superstar receiver. Obviously, have inquired about DK Metcalf. I feel like at that point, kind of have to. You have to see what his price tag is. Because whatever receiver you're drafting at 10, most likely will not be DK Metcalf. Could be wrong, but. And then this one involved your Eagles. I really couldn't wrap my brain around this when I first saw this news break. I do not understand what the hell the Saints were thinking when they made that trade with the Eagles. I thought the Eagles absolutely robbed them. Basically, the Eagles gave
away a draft. We basically gave away a draft pick for 2 extra draft picks in the next first round picks in the next coming years. So worked out well for us.
2023 first, 2024 second, and then I think it was a third this year too, though. And then to move back a spot, maybe or something like that. In the first round.
Yeah, we had 15 and 16, and now I think we have 15 and 17, 15, 18, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
15, 18.
Yeah, it's just like I couldn't wrap my head around it. First of all, the Eagles made an incredible trade. Howie's really, really unbelievable at trades. Truthfully.
Not
And
drafting though.
not drafting. Definitely not drafting. But in trades, he does great. Jalen Rager, superstar. We'll see.
There have been trade rumors. There've already been trade rumors about
I
him,
saw.
which
I can't
blows
believe
my
that
mind.
anyone's inquiring about him, but I guess he is a young talent. So if they could get like a a seventh
Yeah,
round pick,
he's
might as well. He's kind of a waste of space right now.
pretty
Like
much.
I think they're definitely going to be drafting. Well, I don't even say definitely. I think there's a really good shot they'll draft a receiver again. I don't know if they do it in the
I
first
agree.
round 3 years in a row, but they might.
I think if if Drake London falls to 15, which probably isn't going to happen, but if he does, they'll take him. But if he's gone, it sets up an interesting thing for at 18, depending on availability, if they want to take Jamison Williams or Chris Olave. But we definitely do need an extra receiver, which could help us. But
I
right
think
now,
in
I
that
think.
middle round. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, right now their primary focus is probably getting a edge rusher or an offensive lineman because they're just
Mhm.
kind of the bulk of this first round. I feel like is just offensive linemen and edge rushers. Couple
That's a
quarterbacks,
lot.
no
Yeah.
running backs, which is surprising to me. No running backs will go in the first round.
Yeah, almost definitely not. I mean, I feel like people just started realizing that like positionally you could just replace them so easily. Um, I don't know. Like Clyde, for example, was a first round pick, and that didn't turn as well as the third round pick of Antonio Gibson, right? So like
Yeah,
it was a huge swing and a miss. But who knows? I mean, you have guys like Najee who really panned out. Um, should they have taken a tackle? We disagree on this. Where like I think they should have taken a tackle, but you can't you can't deny Najee's production, right? He was incredible. So we'll see. We'll see. I think the Eagles probably will. That middle part of the first round is going to be littered with receivers. Like the Saints, we need one. The Chargers could take one. I'm trying to think of who else. The Eagles are there. The Commanders are there. The Falcons are apparently rumored to take one, which is wild to me considering all of their other team needs and how they don't have a quarterback besides Mariota. Um, I don't know. Should be interesting. I am really excited for the draft.
yeah.
It's
I
like
think
it's like my
something that would be a
Christmas.
nice something that would be a nice spin to the draft, which doesn't really happen often, is in draft trades.
Oh yeah,
It happened. It happened with the Eagles last year when they,
yeah.
traded up to get Devonta
Mm-hmm.
Smith. But like, I think it
Right
would be
past the
so
Giants.
cool. Yeah, exactly. I think it'd be so cool, and I doubt this would happen, but there are rumors. But like something, I don't know, something like the a team like the Jets, for example. I don't even know if this would even happen, but they have, the fourth and the 10th pick.
Mm-hmm.
If they trade one of those picks mid draft for DK Metcalf or something,
That would be
that would
nuts.
that'd be
That would be
nuts.
crazy.
I doubt it'll happen, but it's very possible. He's
What
big
do you
trade
do
bait
if
right now on a team that doesn't have a quarterback.
What do you do if you're Seattle? Like you have two. One is an aging receiver, Tyler Lockett's probably almost 30. DK Metcalf, who's a superstar receiver, who's 24 and is going to be commanding a huge, huge contract.
Yeah,
And your team is garbage. Like you
they're
have
already
Drew
gonna
Lock
be
as a
yeah, they're already
starter.
gonna be bad as it is. So might as well start rebuilding now after you just lost your superstar quarterback.
Do you think I feel like they're more likely. This is my own personal opinion. I think they're way more likely to keep DK Metcalf and trade Tyler Lockett because you might as well let the in you know in-house receiver continue to grow with whoever you eventually take at quarterback.
I could be wrong, but I feel like it's just gonna cause issues in the locker room and stuff with
Probably.
Metcalf if he's on a
He's a
bad team.
huge baby.
Yeah, with his pacifier mouth guard.
Yeah, exactly. And then the last thing is and then we'll get to the NBA. But what's kind of crazy about the receiver class this year is there's a like very good chance that one of them ends up with Patrick Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers. Like, what a fantastic situation for the receivers that slip down the board. And it'll be really interesting to see if the Chiefs or the Packers, because like I said, I think that most of the very elite receivers, and there's probably about 4 or 5 of them in this draft, will be taken in the middle part of the round. I could definitely see them packaging their picks that are like at the end of the first, maybe the beginning of the second, or whenever they have them, and going up and getting a guy. Because I do think that Jameson Williams apparently is possible at 10 now, according to Peter Schrager. I don't know. It'll be really interesting. There are some really good players in this draft. But they're all like really good.
Yeah,
That's why I think what the Eagles did was so smart.
I think Drake London will probably be the first wide receiver off the boards. In my opinion, I'm not definite on that one because there are, Treylon Burks, Jameson Williams. There are so many other talent. I think last year with Jamar Chase, Devonta Smith, those wide receivers might have been a little bit stronger, but
yeah, I think because they had like a higher top end receiver.
Garrett Wilson, yeah.
Jalen Waddle was taken 5th or something like that, 6th, 7th.
Yeah, the Packers, without a doubt, in my mind, need a wide receiver because they don't have a wide receiver 1 right now. They lost Devontae Adams.
Oh, they don't have anyone.
Who's Rodgers going to throw the ball to?
Aaron Jones.
Damn it, I'm blanking on their tight end's name.
Robert Tonyan. Joseph Degura. That's their backup tight end.
Robert Tonyan's about to get 10 catches for 100 yards and 5 touchdowns every game.
I mean, that's a huge play. They also lost MVS, so they have 2 receivers to replace.
Yeah,
unless they really believe. I mean, I feel like they are so bad at drafting. Like, they are so bad at drafting. They drafted.
Might as well just cause more controversy and draft a quarterback.
Yeah, why not just take another one? You need another backup quarterback. Jordan Love isn't the answer at backup.
No, he's not.
All right, let's move on to the NBA. What you've all been waiting for.
Was those supposed to be crickets?
That didn't sound cool? That didn't sound cool?
No, I don't like it.
No. Okay, so maybe you want to explain the play-in tournament.
I'd be happy to.
Some people are really confused on it, actually, including myself until I read about it.
Indubitably. So I'd be happy to take over and explain.
Indubitably.
So it's like a new spin on things. It started last year at the playoffs. I like it because it makes the lower half of the bracket more competitive, but at the same time, I'll explain why I don't like it. So basically what happens is tonight, in the East and the West, the 7th seed, which is the Brooklyn Nets, will be playing the 9th seed, correct? I said I know. I had all this confidence. I'm already wrong.
The 7th seed plays the 8th seed.
The 7th seed plays the 8th seed, correct. I apologize. 7th seed plays the 8th seed. The Nets play the 8th seed, which is the Cleveland Cavaliers. And so the Nets get this home game. If the Nets win this game, or if the Cavs win this game, they secure the 7th seed in the Eastern Conference. And the loser of this game plays the winner of the 9th versus 10th seed game, which is the Hawks versus the Hornets. The Hawks are the home team in that one. I'm sure everyone would love to see Trae Young lose. And the Hornets are just a fun team to watch. They've been a fun team to watch this whole year. Yeah,
I want to see Trae Young get smashed.
Yeah. So the winner of that game plays the loser of the Cavaliers versus the Nets. So let's just say hypothetically the Hornets win that game. Then they move up to play the Cavaliers, and the Hornets, the Hawks would be eliminated, which means the Hornets would play the Cavaliers, who got a second chance because right now the Cavaliers are a little bit depleted with with injuries and
Yeah, Jared
just
Allen's out for the series.
yeah, with that Nets team, it's just the Nets are I think they're an 8.5 point favorite in this game.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So the Hawks would play, the winner of the Hornets versus sorry, the Cavaliers, if they lose this game, play the winner of the Hornets versus the Hawks game. So they get a second chance, and whoever wins that game gets the 8th seed, gets the honors to play the Miami Heat in the first round. And the funny thing about it is that this is the Bucks benched all their players in their final game, get spanked by 40 plus points just
Yeah.
to try and avoid the Nets, and they're gonna have to play them most likely, unless somehow the
No.
Cavaliers are their saving grace.
They'll avoid them at least in the first round. What they did,
Aren't the Bucks the second seed?
no, because they lost, the Bucks are the third seed.
Oh, makes sense.
So
then.
because they lost, the Bucks did avoid them, and now that they're gonna play the Bulls, which are the 6th seed. And even if the Nets come out of it, they'll play the Celtics, who are the second seed.
I see. The Celtics went up to the second seed. Wow.
Isn't that hilarious?
And
so they actually succeeded because they lost by 40, resting their starters. Insane.
Yeah, and there's no promises as good as Jason Tatum's been this year that they can beat the Nets, especially if Ben Simmons decides to finally play.
Oh my God. They're going to be in a world of hurt if Ben Simmons, Kyrie, and Durant play. Like, Jaylen Brown is one of my favorite players in the league, but like they don't have a chance.
Yeah, just what a heads up play by the Bucks organization.
That's so ridiculous. But look, strategic, I guess.
Yeah.
I would have
done the same thing.
Let's talk about this too. So, well, do you have any predictions? I guess let's go there first. Do you have any predictions for the playing games from the East side?
Well, for the games tonight, we could talk about. I think the Nets will beat the Cavs pretty easily, and then the second game tonight is the Clippers versus the Timberwolves, which I think is going to be a very good game. Both two good teams, especially the Clippers have Paul George back now.
Yeah,
Clippers are the underdog in that game, especially on the road.
I can see it.
It kind of depends how Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns can play, but I think Towns isn't going to have a walk in the park with Zubats, and going up against his old team, Pat Bev is going to try to do what he does best and annoy people, but
get a technical.
Yeah, but I think if the Clippers and Ty Lue and what they've been able to do this year, I think the Clippers could win that game.
Yeah, I think that'll be a really tough game. I think that the Timberwolves are going to take it. I think that because I feel Cat is so good and so dominant, such a good shooter. I wish the Knicks drafted him. That was side note. That was the year the Knicks had the best odds, and of course fell to number 4 and took Porzingis. Anyway, that didn't work out. So yeah, Karl Anthony Towns. That's a tough matchup for Zubac. I don't think Zubac is a walk in the park, but Zubac guarding on the perimeter is going to be really tough for him. So, and you're right. It kind of depends on like if Anthony Edwards comes to play. But I imagine Paul George will be on him. So that'll be a very tough matchup for him.
Yeah. And they, you want to win that game badly because it's nice that you get a second chance in case you lose, but you don't want to lose because if you lose, then in Wednesday's game, they have to play the winner of the Pelicans versus the Spurs, which will be a very scrappy game.
Mm-hmm.
And whoever wins that game is just going to be bait for the Suns in the first round. So,
right. I can't imagine that either of those teams will do anything, even if they get anywhere. The Pelicans and the Spurs. The Spurs barely got in.
Yeah.
And the Pelicans have had a really nice stretch to end the year, but like they're so talent depleted. Like, I don't know. I can't imagine. I mean, I really like Brandon Ingram, but like aside from him and Valanciunas, like, they don't have any Zion. Like, I can't really see them going far.
Don't leave out CJ.
What?
Don't you dare leave out CJ.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying and CJ. I don't know. I don't see it. CJ will help them for sure and has this year, but
Mm-hmm.
it's still weird for me to say that CJ is a Pelican, still a Trailblazer in my heart.
Yeah.
Um,
So it's the play-in tournament's definitely weird. It's exciting because I like how it's like, winning. It's like winning you're in.
I think
But the
you
reason why I
froze
don't
for a
like it is
second.
because are you frozen?
No, you froze for a second.
No, you froze.
No, you
Never
did.
mind. But I was explaining the reason why I don't like the play-in tournament is because say you're the seventh seed, right? Um, say you're the seventh seed, like the Timberwolves or a team like the Nets. And the Nets, the Nets were pretty bad this year. There's not much of like all those teams when you look at like in the East, the seventh, eighth, ninth, and 10th seed, they're all like a game apart, which so it just kind of
Yep.
worked out well when it comes to that.
Mm-hmm.
But for example, I'm looking at the Timberwolves, right? They finished at 46 and 36. And then you look at the Spurs, who are 34 and 48. So that's a whole 12 games they are ahead of them. And because of this tournament, 12 games is a lot of games to be ahead on a team.
Oh yeah.
They're 12 games ahead on them. And the Timberwolves could just completely, poop the bed and play the two worst games of their season these
Yep.
next couple of days. And just like that, they're out. So it's kind of just like a win and you're in type situation. And just by making the playoffs, anything could happen. They're
That's how it
having,
is for football.
exactly. But
Yeah.
I don't know. That's the one thing that kind of rubs me the wrong way is a team could be 20 games ahead of a team and you have to, and your season rests on the fate of how you play in two games.
That's true.
It kind of stinks, but if you're 20 games or so, if you're 12 games ahead of a team, let's say the Clippers pull this off, and which is very possible, and Paul George has a big game and they beat them,
100%. Yep.
their game, you get one more chance and to get that eighth seed. And you work so hard all season. If you're a good enough team, they'd have no problem beating the Pelicans or Spurs and then have fun trying to beat the Suns.
I just think it's like a crazy unfair advantage. This is my problem with the play-in tournament. It's a crazy unfair advantage that whoever plays, like for example, whoever plays the Miami Heat, who are the number one seed, are already going to have played two games. No, sorry, one. That one's one game, isn't it? That's one game. I'm wrong. Sorry, the Celtics. Whoever plays the Celtics at 2, and on the west side, whoever plays the Grizzlies. So whoever plays those two, whoever's number 7 seed. Wait, what? No, hold on. I'm getting confused.
Did you have your morning coffee?
Who isn't it? So it's a win and you're in for 7-8, right?
Yes.
Okay, I was right then. Yeah, it's the Miami Heat. So it's whoever plays the number 1 seed, whoever's the number 8 seed overall, right? That team loses game 1 or whatever, like the 7-8 game, and then plays 9-10. So that makes sense. So whoever that's like such a ridiculously unfair advantage for the number 1 seed, which I guess is kind of the point, but like they already have 2 games under the belt. Like that's such bullshit to have to go against the number 1 seed.
You could look at it either way though. Like you could look at it as, yeah, they have to play 2 games. And you could say, oh, they're tired and not well rested like the Heat. But at the same time, you could say they have their momentum going. Like they have
Maybe
their chemistry down. They had to work really hard to win 2 games. Anything could happen. But let's quickly look through let's quickly just go through the playoff matchups and just give our opinions on that. So
yep.
assuming the Nets get the 7th seed, it's down between the Cavaliers, the Hawks, and the Hornets. Do you think any of those 3 teams could beat the Heat in the first round?
No, but I think I do. I mean, when the Cavs have played well, they've probably played as good as anyone this year. And when but like that would be when they're healthy, and when the Hawks are on, they are really hard to stop.
Yes, I agree. I think out of those 3 teams, The Cavs are depleted. I just don't think as much talent as they have with LaMelo and Miles Bridges and Terry Rozier, I just don't think the Hornets are a good basketball team.
I
So
don't think they're ready for this yet.
I think the Hawks are the best chance to beat the Heat.
Yeah.
Probably not going to happen, but
No.
as much as you and I don't like this man, Trae Young is very, very good.
Yep.
He can drop a 40 piece in the blink of an eye. So I think that would be no walk in the park for the Heat in the first round.
No, that would be really hard for them to
Yeah, and they had some struggles towards the end of the season, so we'll see what happens. And usually, at the beginning of the season, you would have thought it'd be the other way around, that the Nets would be the 2 seed and the Celtics would be the 7th seed, but
yeah.
it's the other way around. And that's a series I think would be a very good series. It could go either way. They had some Sunday showcase games, I think, or just like some primetime games where they played each other, and KD and Tatum were going back and forth. Kyrie, and he's allowed to play in all games now because the mandate's been lifted in New York. So the Nets are going to be tough to beat. I think it could easily be a 6-7 game series.
I think the Nets will take them in 6.
You do?
I do. I just think that they're so good. Like Kevin Durant and Kyrie are just all-world talents. Not to knock anything off Tatum and Brown, but Durant is probably going to go down as maybe the best scorer ever. So it's nothing against him. He's just a 7-foot dude with lanky who can shoot and swish a million threes. I think the Nets are going to take it in 6. Going to the next one, I think this would be a very good matchup. Bucks Bulls. I think the Bucks should beat them.
Yeah, I think they'll beat them in 5. The Bulls.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, the Bulls have not been good down the stretch here. Still dealing with some player injuries. As good as a team as they've been this year, I don't think they're ready to take on a team like the Bucks.
Maybe they have played really well this year, and DeRozan's been incredible. But Giannis on him kind of changes that.
Yeah.
Now this is an interesting matchup. Sixers and Raptors. Yeah, this is huge for you. Ring that bell. So actually, apparently he might not get MVP. He definitely deserves it this year. Embiid and the Sixers taking on the Raptors. What's interesting about this matchup is the Raptors are actually a very I feel like they're a lower key, very, very good team. And not because of talent, but because they're so well coached. And I feel like this is always the case with them. They don't have a million players that are wow, right? But they have Pascal Siakam who's played well. OG Anunoby's back. That's great. Fred VanVleet has been incredible.
Yeah.
And they just they play hard. And if Chris Boucher is on too, that's really hard to stop. And here's the kicker. When Matisse Thybulle, not having him in those games 3 and 4 is going to hurt bad. That's going to be tough to replace. I think the Sixers should still come out of this victorious, but having no Matisse Thybulle for those games is going to sting. That's easily their best defensive player, and I don't think it's close. So,
yeah.
What do you think?
I agree. It's BS that it came down to this. Just why wasn't he vaccinated from the start? I'm sure everybody has their own reasons, like Kyrie did, but it's just frustrating that it came to this situation of all the teams we could have played.
It was the Raptors.
This is not the team I wanted to see. I wanted to see the Cavs or something else. I'd rather even play the Bulls than the Raptors, but because I just think we match up better against them. But they have a lot of talent. It's in the back of our heads. At least it's in the back of my head what Kawhi did to us the last time we played the Raptors in the playoffs.
That was probably one of the. Can I just tell that story really quick?
If you must.
I think I have to. I mean, it's because at that point in time, obviously the Knicks were already eliminated. Shocker. So that game 7, when Kawhi hit that ridiculous fadeaway 3 that bounced 15 times on the rim. The second that shot went up, bounce, 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 bounce. It still stresses you out to this day. Shu gets up, leaves. It's me, him, and one of our other friends. And all of a sudden, I hear something crash because he went downstairs and smashed a chair.
Chair had it coming. He was talking all this shit.
He was talking shit. That was so funny.
Telling me I had a small butt.
Yeah, he's wrong. I've checked it.
But let's leave the past in the past and focus on this series. It's not gonna be easy. First game is Saturday night at 6. If Pascal Siakam, who's their best player in my opinion, is dropping triple doubles on us like he did last weekend, we're gonna have our hands full. Van Fleet can shoot the lights out. Scotty Barnes is playing tremendously.
Mm-hmm. I didn't even give credit to Scotty Barnes. You're totally right.
If we're gonna beat this team, Embiid needs to be putting up 30 points a game. Harden needs to be putting up 30 points a game.
Mm-hmm.
Can't be turning the ball over. And the thing that worries me the most is just overutilizing Embiid. You're gonna need him to play 40 minutes a game, and which is a lot. He's made it this far without getting injured, knock on wood. But when you burn him out and put so much on his back in the first series, if we even get through this first series, we're stuck in the same wheel of not being able to get past the second round, which means we're probably playing the Heat next round, and that's not going to be a walk in the park.
No, yeah, that'll be a tough matchup too. I wonder how they'll overcome the.
It's going to be a tough series. Say it again.
I was going to say, I wonder how they overcome the defensive deficiencies without Thibault. Like,
they're just going to have to put. Yeah, they're going to have to put up a lot of points.
Korkmaz, I guess, would go in instead of him.
Yeah, Korkmaz, and that's the thing that worries me is just depth. We don't have a lot of depth on our team, and once Embiid comes out, it's going to be interesting. I don't trust DeAndre Jordan. I don't trust Paul, but we'll see. We're just gonna we're gonna have to shoot the ball tremendously well, and I am confident because without Harden, I don't think we'd be able to do this, but. Maxi's going to have to keep on doing what he's been doing all year. Tobias needs to step it up. And I think Tobias knows.
I forgot Tobias was on the team at this point.
Whether he wants to stay in Philly or not, he knows, this is his last chance. And he needs to really play well. He needs to step up. And they know Embiid and Harden are going to be the bulk of our scoring. So they, other guys need to step up. Harden is such a facilitator. So when he kicks the ball out to Niang or Korkmaz for an open corner 3, I don't love seeing that. I don't feel confident enough in them. But you need unexpected guys to step up if you're gonna win. I think as much as it hurts me to say this, I think we win this series in 6 games, and by no means we win these games easily.
I could see it. I think that the Sixers will win too. I think it'll be really close, but I think they'll win.
Yeah, and like I said, my biggest worry is just injuries with Embiid.
And Harden. What version of Harden?
Harden going down last year in the playoffs.
What version of Harden do you think you guys are going to get too? Because I said it when he got traded. He is not the player that he used to be. He's definitely not as explosive, but he is still really good. So is he going to be really efficient, or is he going to be the guy that Doc Rivers has nothing to say when he shoots a 3 unwarranted, covered and misses completely?
We played really good team ball though. So that's one thing I think we have going for us is if we're playing good team ball, we don't need Harden to be putting up a triple double. We don't need him to drop 30 points because when your offense is working through Embiid, he's your preliminary scorer, but when you have other guys who can score the ball, like Maxey has taken such a huge jump this year, the fact that he's not even in the discussion for most improved pisses me off. We just keep getting gypped. The Sixers players, I don't think he is. I think it's
if Jordan Poole isn't, that's also crazy.
It's Jordan Poole, LaMelo Ball, Miles Bridges.
and Ja, who should not
and
be.
Ja's probably going to win it. I think he's the front runner. But
Dude, he was an all-star last year. How could
yeah,
you see Draymond's comments on that?
I did.
So he's right though. Like he was so good last year. Jordan Poole wasn't even a player on the bench.
Yeah,
I don't know.
but
All right, let's move on to the West and
yeah, let's go through
wrap
that
this puppy up like a bow. It's a present,
like a gift.
like a gift. So the Suns.
So winner. This is a little different. You mentioned this before. This is the first time in a long time where the East has been stronger than the West, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
But whoever wins the Clippers Timberwolves game will get the 7th seed, which means the Suns are just going to make quick work of either Timberwolves, Clippers, Pelicans, or Spurs.
It's gonna be game
maybe
over.
Maybe the Clippers could play them hard.
I don't know. They have no chance, in my opinion. I think they're gonna wipe the floor with them.
No team has chance against the Suns. I said at the beginning of the year, I think they're going to get back to the finals.
I think it'll be Suns and the Warriors.
Yeah, and then one of the bigger shocks this year, even though I knew they were a good team, is the Grizzlies winning 56 games. They'll probably play the winner of the Clippers versus the Timberwolves tonight.
Mm.
They would have been the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. That's how good the Grizzlies are this year. And yet they were still 8 games behind the Suns. Suns won a record 64 games. Yep. What was the record when the Warriors won our
72
freshman year? Was it 72?
72 or 73?
73?
I think it was 72.
Okay, Warriors. We can look that up, but yeah, and then the Warriors playing the Nuggets in the first round. That will be a fun series to watch because the Warriors are probably favored, especially if Steph comes back and Clay's really been playing unreal basketball with coming back from his injury. They're a very talented team. I think they'd probably win that series pretty easily, but at the same time, you can't sleep on Joker.
They set it's 73-9.
Mm-hmm. That's what I thought.
Yeah. I think, yeah, that's true. I just think that the Warriors, if Steph Curry can come back healthy, they're so hard to stop. They're so good. Like the fact that they had 2 lottery picks or this year, and they don't even play them. Like,
yeah,
Moses Moody and I can't think of the other guy's name. Whatever. But anyway,
their whole team, the Nuggets' whole team, runs through Jokic.
Yes.
No Jamal Murray definitely hurts them. Jokic, he'll be putting up his 40-point triple doubles, but
true.
That doesn't matter if nobody else can really help them out.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. So then the next one's the Mavericks, the Jazz. So this is all down to like, is Luka healthy? Exactly. If Luka's not healthy, they're screwed. Mm-hmm. If Luka's healthy, I think win.
You think so?
I think if he was fully healthy, yeah, I do. The Jazz are how do I explain the Jazz? The Jazz are like the kind of team that falls apart literally every single year. Like they always are very, very good. They always make the playoffs, and then they always lose immediately, like or within 2 rounds. Like that's why I think Donovan Mitchell will leave because he's obviously getting really fed up. You can come to the Knicks.
I think they will win the series. I do. It's tough adversity having to start off on the road, but I think they're just a good enough team where they'll get through this first round. But then, after that, unless there's some type of upset unless the Warriors get upset or the Grizzlies get upset, the Jazz are gonna have to play the Suns, and I think they could play them hard, but they probably won't win that series.
The Suns are so good. Okay, quick, and then we'll wrap. This will be the bow on it. Whipped cream with the dip. I don't know what I'm saying. I need coffee. Okay. Who wins the NBA championship, and what is the score, Steven? Go.
What is the score? What do you mean? What is the score? You mean what's the series score?
Sure.
Oh boy, I think the This is unbiased at all. I think the Suns play the Sixers in the
Oh
finals,
my god.
and the Suns beat us.
I think
See, I
the
was
Knicks.
kind of honest. I was trying to be a little
Okay.
realistic.
All right. I think the Knicks somehow come back. Obi Toppin leads us to the promised land.
That makes zero sense.
He did it. He got us 40 points.
Listen,
pretty good
we're
last
gonna
couple
beat
games.
we're gonna beat the Raptors, then we're gonna play the Heat, and we're gonna beat the Heat and shock the world and shut Heat fans up. We're gonna finally break the barrier and get to the Eastern Conference Finals and play the Nets probably. And KD is gonna sustain an injury.
Tater tot.
Kyrie's gonna get COVID, and we're just gonna beat Ben Simmons up and just
Make him
slap
cry.
him,
Slap
make him
him.
cry, and then get to the finals by disqualification.
That's what I'm talking about. The right way.
Realistically, though, before it all starts, I think I'd put my money on the Suns. I think they're just too good. It's not even the fact that they're the best team in the NBA. Like I said before the season even started, I just feel like they just have the deepest bench. They have, they're 2 All-Stars. Another sleeper who should be most improved, Mikal Bridges. He's taken just a huge jump. DeAndre Ayton's a monster. Probably one of their best backups they have in terms of backup centers in this league is JaVale McGee. He's been great. Cameron Payne, he annoys the crap out of me, but he's very talented. Cam Johnson coming back from his injury. Monty Williams. I just think they're such a well-coached team.
I think I'm actually going to go on a hot take here. I think it'll be in the championship. I think it'll be Bucks Suns. I think the Bucks will beat them.
If we see a Suns Warriors and then either a combination of the Heat, Bucks, Sixers, or Nets in the Eastern Conference Finals, you can't really ask for much more. Like that'd be pretty cool.
It'd be pretty cool. I really want to see the Nets get through this because I want to see Ben Simmons play for them. I know you don't. Like as a fan, I want to see how he meshes. But anyway, that's
interesting. That's an interesting point though, because
what?
Despite how good a player might be, his situation is different because one, it's not like he'd be coming back to the Sixers. He's never played. I mean, in practice probably, but like,
yeah,
I don't know. Like if your chemistry is going one way, do you want to bring a guy in who hasn't played a single game all year?
Yeah, not me.
No, the answer is no.
Oh crap! I'm so bad at guesses.
It was 50-50.
All right. It has been a pleasure, my man. This has been episode 16. We're doing pretty well. 16. We missed a couple here and there, but 16. 1-6. The sweet 16. 16 candles.
16 wishes.
16 wishes. JumpStart Sports. We thank you guys for tuning in. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Tell us how ugly we are. Stupid. Funny even. If you want to give us a compliment.
A compliment?
You like compliments.